Hi, friends. I'm here today with Junie Swadron, my writing coach, and I want to introduce you to this most amazing woman that helped me write my brand new book, Never Ever Give Up: 8 Keys to Creating a Life You Absolutely Love. Is my writing coach, and also helped me in her program, the Author Mentorship program. So for all of you out there that want to write your book, and you know that you could use a little creative genius and a helping hand, I want you to meet Junie Swadron. Hi, Junie.
Oh, hi, Patricia. Thank you so much. What a
You
beautiful
are
introduction.
You are so welcome. Let me, first of all, I just want to read your bio. I want to tell people officially. I can gush about you because I think you're amazing, but let's give the official introduction of who Junie Swadron is. So Junie Swadron is herself an author. I believe she has written, is it 5 books, 5 best-selling books? She's a playwright. She's a psychotherapist and an international speaker. She's a workshop facilitator and a professional writing coach. She helps writers to become best-selling authors. She has spent the last 30 years guiding thousands of students in writing and sharing their life stories. It really is what she is so brilliant at. Junie is also currently working with corporations and social service agencies to promote mental health in the workplace. What Junie does is that she sees the therapeutic process and the creative process as one. She shares her own challenges and her successes with clients and her students, helping them to connect their creativity and healing through the written story and other modalities. And she truly is. I'm adding this. She truly is absolutely. She's brilliant. She is, I want to say she's one in a million. She held my hand. She helped me through some of the more challenging points in my book. And I just want to say, honestly, if it hadn't been for this woman, this book would not, I would not be holding it in my hand. It would not exist. Even though I had the deepest of passions to write it, I knew my why, but without this woman's help, it wouldn't be here today. So Junie, welcome. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to every budding author that I know.
Bless your heart. And thank you so much. I feel all tingly inside. And wow, it's kind of interesting to hear your own bio read back, when you're just passionate about what you do. You don't think about that stuff. You just do what you do. And after doing it so long, and it's still a passion. It just feels like, well, that's who I am. And whoever shows up, I'm there.
And it's true. I know that about you. So Junie, what I want to know is I want to know the woman behind the scenes. So that was your bio. You have this great repertoire. You have yourself rewritten your life. You have these best-selling books. I mean, that's not a light thing. So, but I want to know the woman behind the scenes, behind those many books that you've authored and the multitude of courses that you've taught over the years. What started you writing?
Oh, my own pain,
Hmm.
my own needing to find just a voice that was kind of stolen from me in childhood. And somebody gave me a diary when I was a little girl. And in those years, it was more like a hobby, or a fun thing. I mean, I don't think journaling was even part of the vernacular back then, right? It was these little 5-year-old diaries with a lock and key. Do you remember those?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, so somebody gave me one and I filled it like about, I don't know, this 5-year diary in about a week. And I had no idea that I would go gushing stuff out of me.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't have been able to describe it then this way, but I've since learned that I didn't feel alone. I felt there was some kind of, I don't know, benevolent presence with me as I wrote. It felt like I was being held and comforted. And that really surprised me, and it kept drawing me back to the page again and again to just find my voice. And I did. And over, time, and it just really strengthened me. It started to give me more confidence to be able to speak what I was feeling out loud eventually, in a good way, because writing does that. Writing will process the stuff that's going on. So you don't have to, blurt it out at someone. And by the time if you let whatever's gone on the page just settle and integrate, by the time you're ready to speak to whoever it is, you got a different perspective, or you can sometimes see theirs, or you can see your part in it, or it just becomes a little bit less dramatic and chaotic, and it's not, it doesn't happen all at once.
It's a process. Well, and that's true. I experienced that. I healed some things, or let me see, laid to rest some of my life experiences through the writing. So you're absolutely right about that. That is how it happens. And I actually had somebody that read my book. She said, there's a magic in this book. There's some energy. And I thought, it's true. We're having worked with you. My heart and soul did go into the book. And again, it's some of what were some painful memories. So
right. And I think that that's a huge part of my way of teaching, is that, to me, whatever energy goes into whatever creative project, and once you show it, whether it's a painting or whether it's a book or whatever that is, I believe the energy carries. So when you're reading a book, you're reading the feelings of the author. And if somebody's not feeling that great, sometimes they'll write in a nice poetic way, but it doesn't go to the depths, and it doesn't go to the where somebody's really empowering their own truth. And so when I write with someone, as you well know, if triggers come up, we work with them. And so that you're writing something from an empowered place, and not, just wanting to get this out. And there are writing coaches that do that. They just say, okay, well, let's write your book in a week. Let's take the weekend. You can do it. And God bless them. I mean, everybody has a different way of doing it. I was happy to find a way to, if you like, marry both professions as a psychotherapist and a writing coach, and bring them both together to bring people who want to write really find their voice on the page.
Well, and that is exactly what you do. That is exactly what she does. There were times when I'm a chop. I'm an efficiency expert. Sometimes I think I just wanted to get it done, and it would not have been the book that it is had I had a writing coach that just said, yes, just get the words on the page and meet a deadline or a timeline. That is not my heart and soul did get to go in it. So Junie, let me ask you the very same question about your first book, which was Rewrite Your Life. What is it about, and what was your impetus to write that book?
That's a really good question. Thank you. I wrote the book that was already a course that I was teaching. And then the book became a guide for that particular course. But the course didn't happen until I wrote the play, Madness, Masks, and Miracles. So it was a succession of things. And the play, Madness, Masks, and Miracles, was a play to dispel myths and stigmas about mental illness. I myself was diagnosed with bipolar illness when I was 19 or 20. And my life up until that time was pretty traumatic and tumultuous. And it was very painful. And it took a lot of years to come out of the closet of being able to say out loud that I was diagnosed with this, because by that time I had already gone to school, got my education, became a psychotherapist. I had learned to heal so much of what had gone on before and I wouldn't say bypass, work with the labels and the prognosis. And, people said, oh, I'm sorry, it's going to get worse as you age. And somehow there was something in me that just said, no, it's not. No, it's not. And yeah, the words of your book, never, ever, ever give up. And it was after a hospitalization, and the phone was ringing off the hook because it was summer, and it was early September, and people were signing up for more of my workshops. And I didn't feel that I could facilitate my workshops and not tell the truth of where I had just been and pretend, and it terrified me, even though I knew I did good work and I helped to, help people to transform their own lives and excel in many, many ways. The thought of letting them know that I have a diagnosis of bipolar that every now and again shows up, I felt, oh my God, I'll lose my clientele, I'll lose my credibility, I'll lose everything. But I did it anyway. I did it. I wrote what I did anyway was take the risk. And I kept getting this message, you've got to write your story. And I kept thinking, oh, you don't mean me. No, I don't. And I had facilitated a support group for the book The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron for about 15 years. And I watched other people tell their stories and, go from, I don't have a creative bone in my body to soar. And I thought, yeah, well, I get it. That's for them. But I'm not going to do something like that. I don't know. I just want to just stay and I'll get my clients and I'll just be this perfect person. Well, never that.
Good luck. Yes.
Right. Yeah, right. And I never really came across as, having I'm the authority. Never. But still, after the message wouldn't go away, I just wrote a play, and which ended up getting great acclaim, calling it Madness, Masks, and Miracles. It's about the madness or the dark night of the soul that we all go through. You can't really walk this planet, this earth plane, without experiencing loss and fear and of so many kinds, and grief and separation and pain. And for many people, we put a mask over that. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. Meanwhile, your best friend just was diagnosed with, with some terrible disease. And, oh, I'm fine. And the miracles of that play was allowing people to take off their masks and be real, to feel safe enough to do that and be who they are. And even up to the day the play went on stage, and it wasn't my story, it was a story of a lawyer that broke down, et cetera, and had all of these characters with their own stories to say about it all, kind of a cross-section of humanity. And the miracles were of all of that is that even though I was terrified to do it, and I really felt, oh boy, this will be the end of my career, it instead allowed so many people. After the play, we had a talk back and people came up to the mic, and there was probably 500 people in the audience, all of the who were in mental health, because it just happened to be fortuitously in Vancouver at that time. The World Assembly for Mental Health came to Vancouver, heard about the play, and said, okay, let's do this. And dozens of people came up to the microphone afterwards and felt safe enough to tell their story, or the story of their child, or the story of a friend, and it gives me goosebumps even till today. And I told my story afterwards. I got up to the mic and shook.
Wow.
And had the nerve to do it. And then it changed my life. It changed my whole life. And I became a mental health advocate after that, and have been ever since. That was 20 years ago. And then I wrote Rewrite Your Life because I rewrote mine. And I had been working with so many people for so long and using writing as a therapeutic tool to help do that. So that's pretty much the etymology of that. Rewrite Your Life.
No, it's brilliant, because I believe that, and especially right now at this point, at this juncture of of the world, of where we're at. I think that people are hungry for human connection, not the this idea of perfection, or somebody's at the mountaintop, that we're all real, that we want to be connected. I think there's never been a time in history that our story is more important to tell. And so, for you, Junie, as a psychotherapist, why is it, and you may have just said it in this, but I just want to really clarify, because that has been my experience of you, but as a psychotherapist, why do you merge your therapy practice and the book writing practice? Like, how does that work exactly? That to me is a miracle. Like, it's not just words that are correct and well written and following all the rules of English language. It's not that. That's, for me, is your magic. So how exactly does that work?
Well, thank you. Well, that is part of it. It's learning to craft a really compelling book. You want a best-selling book, but that comes after the first draft. And the first, I don't know if I want to say this out loud, but they call it the first shitty draft. And that's being able to just say what you need to say, forget about spelling, punctuation, and grammar, and you write it for yourself. You write it so that you have your voice. And as the words are written, oftentimes, and you experience this, Patricia, and it happens again and again and again, is that when we write from our truth and we let the writing do the writing, and we get in touch with that gut sense and that raw place inside of it, it rarely needs editing. It's just compelling as it is. But when we're triggered, that's where my therapy and my skills and my tools that I can use to hold someone in that place, to be vulnerable, to feel safe to cry, to feel safe to move through whatever's been held for so long. Sometimes it's the first time somebody actually has been able to tell that story or remember it in a way that is deep. And through that process, they begin to rewrite that story, to heal that story, and then have a very different way. Sometimes quite often, when people come to me and this is the story they want to write, I'll say, we'll see. We'll see, because it often becomes something very different, because people may want to include this or that, and this was done to me, but I need to get this out now. But afterwards, it's not that. They've healed that. And they see the gifts in every story we've ever lived. And whether you're an entrepreneur, which you are, and many people are, and they want to have what they've learned works in the world, to have that as a way in which they can reach so many more people, and at the same time tell their story. It's not like you started off with never ever giving up. It was like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And how do I take the next step? But you did it, and you found a formula, and it didn't happen overnight. And now you reach, countless people around the globe, right? So it's people like you, and it's people who are, are elders and who have gone through whatever it is that they've gone through, and they want to write a memoir to share their wisdom of what they've learned, and maybe they can help somebody who was going through that particular thing. And often I've worked with elders, who start off thinking that's what they want to do, and then they want to tell their family, or they want to just tell their close friends, and then they end up, wait a minute, I want this out. I want to be a spokesperson for this sort of thing. And they do.
And good job, because what it is, it really is what you mentioned it earlier, finding your voice. And that is what happened for me. I partly remember thinking that I had a doubt at some point. I had a limiting belief. I'm not really a great writer. But as I did it in the way that you coached me and helped me to, I thought, man, I'm a really great writer. It was
right?
something, it set something free in me, for sure. So So, Junie, is there a particular genre that you work in with writers to become authors? And I want to say best-selling authors. Like this book is was number one bestseller and hottest new release in 9 countries in 4 different, no, 15 categories. So
Right?
that is not, it's not by accident.
No, no, it's not. No, it is not. My genre is nonfiction. Although I have written or worked with people who have written fiction, and I'm able to guide them, but it's not my greatest strength. My greatest strength is nonfiction, whether I've just worked with someone who produced her one-woman show. And she came to me as well, I don't know, about 4 years ago when I did a boot camp and it was a week boot camp of writing your life. It was the Author Mentorship program. Very, very, what's the word I want to use? It's a setting where it's very specific for that. It's away from home. It's away from the office. People have time to write and digest and just focus on that. And also cathartic, be with, right? And she came to write a play. And it's taken her a while to get it, in a way that she wants it. And it wasn't the play that she initially had it in mind. And and she's just, performed it now several times. And I just went to see one here in Victoria. And it's so exciting. So I work with people who want to do their plays, if they want to write their memoir, if they are an entrepreneur who want to just get their voice and their brilliant courses or products out into the world because they've learned how to do it in a way that serves others. So that's my passion.
It clearly it is. And so for anyone that wants to make a difference, I want to say the change makers of the world is, that's how I see it. So your latest book, which was Your Life Matters, was published just last year. And what is that one about?
Well, that is about writing life story. And the reason I called it Your Life Matters is because what I've noticed over my career and over my life, is it seems like no matter how brilliant someone is, and no matter how much a person has accomplished, they don't recognize that, they still go to these places. It's never enough.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that their life and everything they do, even if they don't do anything, matters, right? And so I have worked with people for all these years, helping them to realize that, yes, their story matters. They matter. Their story, who they are, it's so valuable. And I start off my program that way, right? I start off addressing people's fears. If they've come to a group like mine, an author mentorship program, I, number one, salute them, because as you well know, it's not for the faint of heart. And that's why, and the reason it's not is because the courage to say yes to yourself is fabulous. But then all the fears, all the paradigms come up that I'm not good enough. I'm not a great writer. I don't know how to spell. What if somebody reads it? What will they say? It's all been written before. I'm not that good. On and on and on it goes. And so a big part of my job at that point is, whoa, no.
It's true. I wrote about that in this very book. I wrote about it. That was my exact experience. So thank you for, when we're on the other side, we forget about that. So Junie, you mentioned the program. Well, let's talk about that for a minute then, because I understand that I was excited to hear that you are offering a brand new author mentorship program. So tell us a little bit about that. When does it start?
It starts in January. January the 6th is like a meet and greet online. And so just to meet each other and to find out where in the world you live and what's your experience with writing and what drew you here and why are you here. And so everybody gets a chance to really get to know what I call your cohorts as opposed to cohorts, right? And I think you were in a program with what, 10 or something, others, and maybe more, I can't remember. I think there were more, but anyway, it was a fairly large group. And many of you have already published or starting to, and it's all happening, and it's such an incredible, that's one of the beautiful things about this process is that you also get a writing buddy, right? Where you check in and every week to just keep you motivated and going and accountable. So basically the program is designed to help you go in order of, there's a structure to it. There's a science to it. It's finding out what, and you decide, first of all, you decide who is your ideal reader. Who do you want to know about this? Who do you want to talk to? And that's really important. And I'm bringing people back all the time. I want to say this and I want to say that. And how is it relevant to your book? Yeah, well, you know, who do you want it for? Well, I want everybody to read it. Well, I would too, but they won't. And so you have to narrow it down, right? So there's a science to that too. Narrow it down to the, you know, oh, I want it to be for lawyers. Every kind of lawyer? Well, no, I want it to be for, you know, criminal lawyers. Ah, okay, that's narrowing it down. It's for that. Right? So it's about that. It's about finding that niche, and it's about learning to speak to that particular person and why. What is it about that person or that ideal person that you want to speak to? What is it about your life? What is it about your life that has motivated you so passionately that you want to write this book about that? And, you know, I just last weekend, we put the final crossing the T and dot of the I of these two women who've written a book together on the, oh, well, I just forgot the name. Not the adoption, when somebody, the foster care system.
Yes.
Right. And it's brilliant and it's beautiful. And when I started off with them and I was saying, good, I want you to both tell me your story and why you went into, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. And now, of course, not long after they started writing it, it had everything to do with them. And they started connecting the dots of their life, of how this led them into this particular path and career path of fostering. And so that's such an important part of the writing of the book, to connect those dots. Why are you passionate about this? And then we start writing. I teach the tools of, you know, building the scaffolding, right, of what it is you want to say and how that comes about, and, you know, in a very succinct way through what chapters and what you want to say in each, and we develop that. And so there's a beginning, a middle, and end, and then it's, I hold people's hand right to the publication, right?
It's true, you do. And I want to address just a couple of things that you mentioned, because I think they're important. They were really important for me. So, and I can tell you that this has been my dream to write a book for, I'm thinking about, well, it's over 40 years, and I have been to countless writing courses, and I have a bookcase, very large bookcase full of writing books. And it's always about the beginning, the middle, and the end. But what you fill in is what's in between the beginning, the middle, and the end, what comes before, what comes after, and what's in between. So, and it is connecting the dots. And so two things that I want to point out is you do have a structure. You do have a scientific way of doing it. I've got a whole binder full of, I thought, oh, I never thought of that. I just want to start writing. I don't want to, it's like trying to build a house without a blueprint, right? And so that's what would happen to me. I discovered I would, have my hammer and my nails and I'd get ready and then I'd want to paint, but this wasn't built. So what your structure is absolutely brilliant for those people that are very creative and just want to get going and do it. There's a structure that's really important. And the other thing is, you said, yes, I was in, and was it, I think it was last year, maybe a bit before, but you said a large group of 12. Well, I really want to emphasize that, I've been also to courses where there's hundreds of people or 100 people. Well, 12 it was big enough that that I didn't feel, that always spotlighted, but it was small enough that it was intimate. I got my questions answered. And if it wasn't a question I had, somebody else would have it. And we got to know each other. So there was a beautiful energy, like a like-minded symbiotic energy that was created in the space that you held for those of us that were here. And I mean, at the beginning, I just wanted to try it on for a while. I wasn't even certain that I had the courage to write the book. I just wanted to start writing and try it out. Did I even have the skills? Were my ideas even viable? Did it make sense? And I got to discover all of that in this group, because what we did, we were a support system for each other. The encouragement, the like amplifying that I would read something, it was like, wow. And the feedback I got gave me confidence. So it's not, you don't go unnoticed, or like it mattered if we didn't show up.
It did matter. And I deliberately keep my courses small for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
So there is if you want to write your book, don't wait. But I wanted to say, yeah, because I deliberately keep them small so that people will get very personalized feedback. And what you found and everybody finds is the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, yes, you can do it. You can do it. I can hardly wait. As opposed to, oh no, she's writing a book too. Oh, or she's better than you just become like family. It's brilliant. And I love it. And of course you have your private Facebook group, and we have one-on-ones as well. So yeah, it's pretty, it's very dynamic. And I think, yeah, I'll relate a secret that I know, right?
I love secrets.
I know. I mean, before COVID, I was doing all of these in person, and I've been doing it for years, right? For years. And so when you do something again and again, it becomes intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And, if there's a room, you hold a space for the people in the room, and you know what's coming next, and you just do it. Well, when COVID hit and nobody's coming in person anymore, I had to figure out, well, how do I do this? And I had to sit down and create step by step. How do I do this? What do I do next? And what comes next? And what do they need? And that was a very challenging and also a very rewarding experience for me. And to actually learn what I do.
Well, and you truly do. You mastered it. So you rose to the challenge. It's no different, in my opinion, than writing a book. Like, right? It was, I had to figure it out, and you have to rise to the challenge. But to have somebody there to support you, and in my coaching, I always say, and I say I work with women, is that find a mentor that has already accomplished the result that you want to accomplish, and have them support you, hold your hand, be the wind underneath of your wings. And so between that is what you are so passionate about. I love your motto, which is, I'm going to read it just so that I have to say it exactly because it's your motto, but your soul meets you on the page, and something shifts, you begin to stand taller. Then one day you realize that your voice on the page has become your voice in the world. Now, I know what that does for me. I got goosebumps just reading it again, because that is already what is happening for me. But can you say something about that? Because it's your motto, Junie.
Yeah, and I couldn't have written it had I not seen the evidence of it in my own life and in countless people over 30 years. and and to have your own voice on the page become your voice in the world. Not everybody writes a book. Not everybody's publishing out there. Not everybody's going on a stage and performing. If it gets your voice in the world, it could be just having a voice and telling your partner something you've been afraid to say, or your children, or a best friend, or a coworker, a boss, or someone, to be able to finally be able to say you start to stand taller. You start to realize, I do have a voice and it matters, that my life matters, and are able to say it in a way that is strong and empowered and real. And people start to take notice because you're taking notice. And so for me, whatever way it shows up in a person's life, for me, I didn't have a voice. I started off telling you that. When I was a kid, it's like children should be seen and not heard. And I was one of those kids that kind of can be, I was invisible, really, and wanted to be. I wanted to be invisible, lest I'd be seen and I don't know, get in for trouble for it, or say something that I really felt out loud. Oh yeah, so no, I didn't really have a voice, and it took me 50 years until I came out of the closet, or the hiding of that I had a diagnosis. And even though it rarely became a thing anymore, because I went through so much therapy myself and did all the work and created, learn to use the tools that I had taught, it just became non-negotiable. It's like, if I want to live a life that had meaning and purpose, then I can't be that prognosis, diagnosis, that whatever label. I have to find my way. And it wasn't always easy, but I put one step in front of the other, and Patricia, I never, ever gave up. And so sometimes I look at my life and without, it's not coming from ego. It's coming from actually a very deep place of humility. I look at my life and I can't believe I am who I am, and that I've achieved what I've achieved. And it really is not about, aren't I great? It's about, I know my beginnings, and I know the harshness, and I learned how to rewrite that so I wouldn't be a victim to my circumstances. And I could learn the gifts and the lessons that come from every single experience I've had, including just getting married.
Yes.
Months ago. I'm a woman who never married, always had my running shoes on, never feeling safe enough to really be in a relationship that mattered or whatever, until I met this magnificent man. And I'll be very honest, and we met just before COVID. I've known him, 3.5 years. I wouldn't have met him had I not become the person I needed to be, to meet a person who could meet me where I am.
Yes.
And had we met earlier in our lives, and not at this mature age, I don't think it would have worked. But it works now because I've done the work. And I encourage everybody, if you want a beautiful, loving relationship, or any relationship, to be really everything you dream of, then you have to be that.
I sense another book coming. Wouldn't this be a great story? I love it. Oh, Junie, it's so amazing. So what I want to say, and I just want to say that, everything that you said is so true, because I talked about, as well in my book, I lost my voice growing up. And I truly had no idea when I wrote the book how I would find my voice through working with you and through writing this book. So for everyone that's watching this and listening, what I want to say is, even if you have a seed, I'm a dream building coach, so I believe in that seed has been planted for a very specific reason. There is something you're meant to say. There is a way you're meant to use your voice. And if writing a book calls to you in any way, shape, or form, even if you're not sure if it's going to become an actual book, just that you go through the experience of writing your stories, then I want to encourage you to contact Junie. Her details will be, I believe, in this video. And so Junie, I also think that you're going to do some workshops, right?
Well, I'm doing the Author Mentorship workshop, right?
Somebody's excited about, I just got a vote of excitement. My little dog only does that when there is something exciting going on.
T-Bear, all right.
He was just like, pay attention. Like it was like somebody's doing razzle dazzle, you guys. So that's what's going on in the background here. T-Bear promoting Junie.
Well, there you go. I'm going to do a workshops on doggies. Oh, we'll co-write it. Dogs and birds. I've got the
right. Oh gosh.
Yeah. No. This and of course my yeah. There are several things going on. I am doing mental health in the workplace for people who because since COVID, it's just all been crazy. Nobody knows what they're doing, and so many people didn't go back to their traditional jobs and are doing other things, and so employers are are wondering, how do we do this now? So I've been helping that. And then, of course, the Rewrite Your Life program, where you are a certified coach. Do you want to say something about that? Because you are facilitating or about to.
Well, it's just, I mean, it is an amazing program and it's everything that you've talked about. However, I'll be honest, let's do another promotion about that. But I really want, I think now winter's coming. I don't know where everyone is living, but where I am, it's snowy and cold. So great time to put on your woolies and hunker down. And I think I started writing mine when it was colder, and I didn't have too many places to go. So it's a good time. And I would love to, if that's okay, this author mentorship program. I am so excited for anybody that would have the opportunity. I believe there's not a lot of spaces left, so you kind of dropped it earlier, but I want to say it outright. Don't wait, don't hesitate. Come to, we'll between Junie and I will drop the link for her free workshops.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And
That's
don't wait. Get. I think on your website, isn't it? It's what's your website?
JunieSwadron.com. And yeah, it's really easy. And the Author Mentorship program. And you're right, I am doing a workshop, a couple actually, in between now and Christmas, I believe. Yep. Before that, and then another one early January, free, to give people a taste and experience. There's no risk to just come and learn about, see if it turns you on, and then if it does, say yes to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll know. And so on your website, I think they can actually book a consultation with you.
That's right? Correct. You can. Free consultation. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no pressure. I want for everybody, and this is the way I've always been, I want what you want for yourself, but I can't want it more than you want it. And I want, so there's never any pressure. It's listening really deeply and to know if this is a soul's calling. And I can tell you when it is. I can tell you. Is this, if people have said to you, oh, you got to write a book, that's such an amazing story. What do you tell yourself? And is it a message? Do you say, yeah, that's a great idea, and then like it feels really good, but then it's like all these negative thoughts come and then just float away, and that's that? Or is it a message that keeps coming back? And if it is a soul calling. It's not just a frivolous, oh, I'd like to write a book someday. So yeah, please contact me. I'd be delighted to talk with you and hear what's your story, because I want to know.
Okay, so watch for the promotions of the free workshops. You can catch her at www.junieswadron.ca.
.com.
JunieSwadron.com, and check it out. Do yourself a favor and check it out. I cannot, I want to say I'd authorize. I cannot give high enough accolades to Junie. Brilliant writing coach.
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
I just want to say, what a joy, what a privilege to work with you.
Thank you.
Truly, every step of the way. What you do is absolutely brilliant. And you now have your beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book to share with so many more people. Never, ever, ever give up.
Thank you. And yeah, and I know that you'll do that for it's why I'm willing to, promote. I don't promote everybody, but I'm happy to promote you because I know that you would do that for anybody and everybody that would come and join you in your author mentorship program. So, Junie, thank you for your time today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome.